What's up, everyone? Over the last 2 episodes, I've talked about some of the latest big reveals in comics. First with the Ultraviolet Lantern Corps, and then the introduction to Null, creator of the symbiotes, which also gave us a new origin for the symbiotes. Well, today we're keeping that train rolling by taking a look at 3 new forces revealed in DC Comics that are basically offshoots of the Speed Force. They are the Still Force, Sage Force, and the Strength Force. That's right, the Speed Force isn't the only force anymore. With that said, they haven't given us a ton of info on these new forces yet, but this is such a potentially huge addition to the DC Comics universe that we definitely need to talk about how they were introduced and what we know so far. It mainly takes place in Scott Snyder's Justice League title, and it all started in issue 2. In the issue, we see Barry Allen Flash build a Speed Force car. Yup, it's a car that could ride the Speed Force, which Barry Allen builds because his connection to the Speed Force has been going on the fritz since the Totality landed on Earth. Anyway, Hawkgirl asks him, "Are you building this because you tripped a couple of times?" To which Flash says, "Ah, the damn speed bump. Yeah, my guess, it's an old villain of mine, Turtle. Emphasis on old." He believes there's an opposing energy to the Speed Force, the Still Force he calls it, always trying to access it, causing vibrational disruptions. The last thing I need right now. Then in issue 3 of Justice League, after we see Cyborg break John Stewart free from the Ultraviolet Lantern's powers, John elaborates on what the invisible spectrum is and how Sinestro is the one who discovered it. I actually elaborate more on this in the Ultraviolet Lantern episode I mentioned before, which you can check out right here. Anyway, he says, Sinestro wrote that the invisible spectrum was tied to 6 other hidden forces of the universe, all of them locked by some cosmic stasis that had to be accessed first. The most important part in that sentence is where John says, the invisible spectrum was tied to 6 other hidden forces of the universe. That's going to be a big key going forward. Anyway, the Flash responds by saying, "The Still Force, you're telling me it's real?" And John replies, "I wasn't sure any of this was real, but apparently it all just took over my brain and tried to kill you. So..." This basically confirms that the Still Force is one of the 7 hidden forces in the universe, which is pretty crazy stuff. Again, the source wall breaking open has unleashed all sorts of stuff. Now, before I continue, let's go back to issue 2 of Justice League that will come full circle in issue 4. In issue 2, there's a single page that shows Lex Luthor presenting a baby to Gorilla Grodd. Lex says, "I've already unlocked the first force, the one that will destroy your enemy, Grodd." A very confused Grodd just stares at the baby and Lex says, "It's a baby, Grodd, pick it up." Staring the baby in the eyes, Grodd says, "Wait, is this who I think it is?" Luthor tells Grodd to connect with the baby and find out, and when he does, he's left in awe of the power the baby possesses. This of course left us wondering who the heck is this baby and why is he so powerful? Well, like I said a second ago, we find out in issue 4. In the issue, we see Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman fighting off some monsters at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, because there's a base down there. Aquaman asks Flash if he can check the rest of the base, but Flash just responds with, "I wish, but the Still Force is still short-circuiting my powers. It's like whenever I fought Turtle. But it doesn't make sense, last time we clashed, he was old and weak. Someone must have stolen his abilities, enhanced them, but how?" It's at that moment an energy freezes the heroes and Grodd comes in saying, "It was easy, Flash," almost like taking candy from a well. You get the idea. And we see Grodd stomping in while controlling the Still Force with that baby from issue 2 on his chest, all Hangover style. Flash tells Grodd this is bigger than us, the Still Force. It's universe-ending stuff. But Grodd just laughs while saying something to the effect of, "Yeah, that's the point." Flash seems to recognize the baby and Grodd interrupts saying, "Yes, Flash, say hello to Turtle, your oldest friend, your very first villain, and now your last," which is a crazy reveal in itself. Keep in mind, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman still can't move during all of this because that's what the Still Force does. Grodd eventually lets them go, but tricks Wonder Woman into thinking Aquaman is Cheetah, and tricks Aquaman into thinking that Wonder Woman is Black Manta, causing them to attack each other. But the big reveal is why Lex wanted to unlock the Still Force by bringing the baby Turtle to Grodd to defeat Flash in the first place, which is because the Still Force stops all momentum in molecules, and somehow the Flash's Speed Force fuels the Still Force. So during Flash's fight with Grodd, the Still Force energy and power increased immensely. So much so that it was unraveling the boundary between our galaxy and the galaxy of Umbrax, the sentient black sun that powers the ultraviolet lanterns. Well, somehow, siphoning from the Speed Force, the Still Force eventually reaches full power and allows the ultraviolet light to infect Earth and our universe, which lets Sinestro recruit almost everyone on Earth and pretty much the entire galaxy to the Ultraviolet Lantern Corps. Cyborg even says, between the planets Umbrax controls and the people succumbing to his call, Sinestro now leads the largest corps in eternity. All the corps put together aren't even close. That's utterly insane. But it's the reason why Lex unlocked the Still Force. First to control it, but also to use it to let Umbrax in and give Sinestro the power to create the largest core of all time, essentially allowing them to take control of the universe. However, that's all we know of the Still Force thus far. I personally think it's really cool, but as I said at the beginning of the episode, we still have the Sage and Strength Forces. To look at those, we have to jump over to the Flash title, starting with issue 49, which was part 3 of the Flash War. I'll say right off the bat that we know less about the Sage and Strength Force at the time of shooting this episode than we do the Still Force, but we do know who unlocked it and who was using it. For those of you who don't know, during the Flash War, Barry and the original Wally West were at odds with one another. And while Barry was trying to stop Wally from going into the Speed Force to save his family, Wally unintentionally broke the freaking Force barrier and unleashed something else that was locked away long ago. Anyway, this event was all orchestrated by Hunter Zolomon, aka Zoom. He tells Barry and Wally, I needed both of you to break the Force barrier so I could gain access to what lay beyond. Zoom then uses one of Flash's rings from the Flash Museum to put on a Flash costume, claiming to be the new Flash, as neither Barry or Wally could ever live up to their true potential. Zoom says, I'm the Flash, the fastest man alive, and so much more. You both think you know everything about the Speed Force, but it's just one of the forces in the multiverse, and now they're free. He goes on to say, history books call these forces the Sage Force and the Strength Force. And he's saying this while using these forces against them. The Sage Force seems to enhance the intelligence of its user to super genius levels, as well as granting them psychic powers such as telepathy and telekinesis. While the Strength Force obviously gives him incredible strength, and Zoom uses these new powers to easily defeat both Flashes. Of course, Zoom is defeated in the next issue, but Barry says that he's briefed the League on the new forces and their possible connection to the Still Force. We also see him saying that the shattered Force barrier has changed everything, and he doesn't know what else it's unleashed. But that's it. That's all we really know about the Still, Sage, and Strength Forces so far. It's just crazy that we went from having the Speed Force and Negative Speed Force to now having 3 new additions. It's kind of reminiscent of how Blackest Night introduced a bunch of new Lantern Corps. Furthermore, I think it's super interesting how the new Invisible Spectrum and all these new forces seem to be connected to everything going on in Scott Snyder's Justice League book, which is dealing with the aftermath of the Source Wall breaking open in the Metal storyline. So are the Sage and Strength Force 2 of the 7 hidden forces of the universe, along with the Invisible Spectrum and the Still Force? It certainly seems like they are, and if so, there are still 3 yet to be revealed. Only time will tell, but I'll tell you one thing, DC.
You have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
In any case, as this story continues to unwind, we'll be sure to talk about it right here. First up for Wednesday, August 8th, we have The Flash issue 52. Barry Allen races to the House of Heroes at the center of the multiverse to meet with the Flashes of 52 worlds for info on the new forces he recently encountered. Next up, we have Darth Vader issue 19, Fortress Vader begins. A Jedi makes a desperate deal, the Inquisitor's mission evolves, and Darth Vader discovers a theft. Now we have Red Hood and the Outlaws issue 25, Batman vs. Red Hood, for the right to fight in Gotham. That's right, Batman and Red Hood go at it once again. Here we have Spider-Man Annual 1. In this issue, a mysterious new chapter for Miles is revealed. And finally, we have Fantastic Four issue 1. It's insane that it took this long, but the Fantastic Four title is finally back, written by the 10-year-long Spider-Man writer, Dan Slott. And that's going to bring another episode of Variant to a close, but remember to check out all of our social media. Links for that are in the description below, as well as our website, variantcomics.com. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.